All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining on this Sunday morning and for some people, Sunday evening as well. So, on behalf of PMI North India Chapter, I warmly welcome you to today's webinar titled Inclusive by Design: Why Accessibility Must Begin at Project Inception. My name is Mona Lisa, and I'm serving as the host for today's session. We are delighted to have you all join us today. Before we begin, I would like to share that during the presentation, all participants will remain muted to ensure minimal background disturbance. If you have any questions, feel free to put that on the chat box. We'll take them up towards the end during the Q&A segment. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, Mr. Sunil Kumar. Sunil is an inclusive AI and digital accessibility leader and a principal agile delivery lead with extensive experience in accessibility-driven innovation and inclusive design practices. He holds multiple professional certifications, including PMI ACP, CPA-CC, PSM3, and SAFE SPC. With that, I invite Sunil to take over and begin the session. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you, Mona. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Uh, I'm really excited and glad that I have got this opportunity to share and to spread this awareness around accessibility. Look at it in a very different way. And however, Mona was describing a lot about me. I would say all that would not add value if within next 1 hour or 45 minutes, if I'm not sharing something new with this audience. So today we are going to talk about accessibility. Let me go ahead and share my screen. If one of you can confirm, uh, include sound. Hopefully, I am sharing my
Yes, I can see.
slide deck.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, today we are going to talk about inclusive by design, why accessibility must begin at project inception. Um, a disclaimer, this is not about charity. This is not about creating sympathy about disabled people, or this is not about telling that, hey, create products for disabled people. This is mostly to look at the compliance. Most of us are project managers over here, or program managers. We know that compliance either comes in the beginning or at the end. In the beginning, they want that, hey, you must follow everything. And at the end, they check that, oh, yeah, if you have followed these or not. But today we are looking accessibility in a totally different lens. We are trying to see why it is a competitive advantage, how larger organizations, many major organizations, are using this to create products, which is giving them that an edge over other products that are competing with them. So let's dive into this. And again, this topic at here at this level is mostly an introduction and as well as a little bit about the how. However, there are other topics, I mean, like there are other sessions which we can engage in future where we talk in detail about each of these elements which we are introducing today. All right. With that, let's get into the topic. So I'll keep it simple. Not many slides, 50, 60 slides, 20, 25 slides. Most of them are videos. Many of them are looking forward for engaging conversations. My goal here is to spread this awareness, to ignite this thought, to create this thought process in your mind whenever you're beginning your projects at your organization. So that starting tomorrow, starting today, right after this session, you are implementing something on accessibility on your mobile phones. That's the goal of this session. So we are going to talk about what is disability, what do you mean by universal products, why we should know about this, what is the importance behind it, how can we integrate within the project, and what can I do now within this session. It is like, Sunil, I have given you my 60 minutes. What am I getting out of this right now? We'll discuss about it. All right. So to start with the what is disability? Everyone would be like, oh, we all know, man. It's like an impairment of a body function. Trust me, even I was surprised. I have been working in project management space for 15 years. Not until last 4 years in 2022 is when I learned in detail about this and I was shocked. And since then, I have been conducting a lot of interviews, a lot of talks. Everywhere I'm talking, they're saying that, oh, yeah, this is different. We perceive disability as a different. So let's look at what is a disability and what are universal products. Okay. So, disability by definition, this is again coming from World Health Organization, WHO, not created by me, taking from those. We project managers are more concerned about the sources from where we are getting the data. So in 1980, disability is defined as a personal attribute. Someone with a disabled arm, an impaired arm, or lost a vision, lost a hearing abilities. So disability is looked at as a personal attribute, like they are or that person has that inability or has that impairment. But in 2001, yes, 25 years ago, a quarter century ago, World Health Organization described disability as a context dependent, which means that it is not just a health problem, it is a complex phenomenon reflecting the interaction between the features of a person's body and the features of the society in which he or she lives. What does it mean? Let me take an example. For example, touch wood, by God's grace, I define myself as an able person because I believe I have got everything which a natural human should have. Now pick me up and put it in Korea, drop me in Korea. Now, all the billboards I see are in Korean language. Even if the denomination or the currency is in Korean language, people speak Korean language. There is all the roads and signs are in Korean language. I'm totally disabled. I can see, but I cannot perceive. I cannot comprehend. I can talk, but I cannot communicate. I can read, but I cannot understand. So I'm as equally disabled as a person who is blind over there with an ability or there with a disability. What I mean is, so disability is defined in that context. We'll look at a little more visuals and definitions, which will give us uh, more understanding of this. But what I'm trying to present over here to all of us is 25 years ago, it has been defined that disability is not a personal attribute, it is a contextual. So when I am disabled, it means that if I am unable to get onto a train or onto a bus, it is not me, it is the bus which is disabled. It is the context around me, the features or the society in which I am living is not able, is not inclusive, is not universal. So that gives us a segue to talk about universal products. Let's look at this. So what is universal product? Again, defined by World Health Organization, UNO actually, United Nations Organization. Universal products is defined as the design of products, environments, programs, or services to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design. So it could be what it talks is it should be so universal that irrespective of age, irrespective of the abilities, irrespective of the gender, the culture, people must be able to use it. That is universal products. And to my ability, to my best knowledge and research, I would say I'm proud to say that the UPI payments in India are mostly universal. It's used by close to 1 billion people. That is 80% of the population can use it. That is one of the best examples of universal product. Yeah, there are some edge cases which can be still improved. They are working on iterations, but at a very high level, I can say that's an universal product. Now let's look at little more in depth about disabilities. Okay, Sunil, you talked about two different definitions of 1980s and 2001. So what is disabilities? Again, let's get back to that. So disability can be three types. Permanent disability, which we all are aware, our subconscious mind already knows that because we have been institutionalized that definition since our birth. It's like losing an arm, somebody is blind, losing their audio or hearing impairment. That is defined as a permanent disability. Now, there are temporary disabilities which can happen because of incidents in life. Somebody lost an arm, somebody had a recent surgery, or have an ear infection or a throat infection. It can be any of this. Those are temporary, which we all know. Yeah, that could be a disability. Situational. This is something new. This is where I want to focus on. This is my selling point, I would say, for this talk. Situational disability is something which every one of us would go through. Say, for example, I went to a shopping, I have both the bags on my hands. I'm as equally disabled as a person who does not have an arm to open a door because I have bags both to carry or I'm carrying kids. Then definitely I'm as equally disabled. That is situational disability. Now, an universal product like your automatic doors serves the purpose both for the permanent disabled person as well as a situationally disabled person. Similarly, a distracted driver. If while driving I am distracted more towards looking at a text or something, I'm as equal as a blind person, right? Or while driving, if I'm getting a glare, a sunlight onto my face, I'm as equally uh, what I mean is disabled as person with low vision. So these are described as situational disabilities. I'm in a big stadium. Somebody's yelling at me or trying to talk to me, and I cannot hear them. The voice cannot reach me. I'm disabled. I cannot hear. I have that hearing impairment in that situation. A similarly, heavy accent is also one of those forms. If somebody cannot understand what I'm talking, then that's a disability. I cannot hear you. I cannot comprehend what you're telling. It is mostly like my cognitive disability over there. So Microsoft describes this as everyone has abilities and limits. Creating products for people with permanent disabilities create results that benefit everyone, and that everyone is in this situation. Okay, we are lucky enough to have everything in our life, so we are not in that permanent category. Touch wood, nothing happened to us throughout our journey in on this earth. We do not have any temporary disability, but we all will pass through situational disabilities. Now, this could be a market advantage. Why? Because if you're solving for a permanent disability, you're automatically creating a luxury for a situational disability. We'll walk through some of the examples. And that creates that competitive edge for the product. Let's look at that. Again, the visual display of these definitions are permanent disability. We know this eminent entrepreneur over there, Mr. Srikanth, permanent disability example. Temporary disability, I know it's quite old, probably 5 or 6 years old picture, but what I wanted to show over here is that he's fit, he's a sportsman, he does everything, but still they can go through that temporary disability. And situational, we all are over there. In our WhatsApp group, someone is roasting us, I want to reply immediately, but I cannot do that because I'm driving. The solution could be the voice commands, which would help us to do that. So here is the visual display of 3 different types of disability so that it sits in our mind. Now let's talk about, so far we talked about what is disability. We looked at different types of disability. That's good, Sunil. Why it is important to create universal products? Tell me the why. Don't use your marketing language saying that, okay, solve for permanent disabled people, you'll be solving for situational. I'm here with the stats. So for every 2 years, ROD, which is written on disability, that organization publishes their research around how many disabled people are there, what is the income, and all of it. So these are the important stats which I have taken. There are a lot in there. 1.3 billion people is the population of disabled community. 1.3 billion people. That is as huge as the population of India. And we all know that most major industries try to invest in India or try to come to India or sell their products in India because out of those 1.3 billion populations, even if 10 or 15% are buying them, the company made a profits. So now my pitch over here is out of these 1.3 billion people, if your product is making a market advantage, if your product is making products, if your organization is making products which help fulfill these needs, even 10% of them, you're entering into the market of $18 trillion. All these are real numbers, research numbers. $18 trillion, which is equal to the GDP of China, second richest country in the world, if I'm not wrong. So we have that $18 trillion is the disposable income. People who are disabled, people who are friends of disabled, their families, organizations, NGOs, like UNO, WHO, everyone has this income which can be leverage to buy products for disabled. Now, this stat here is interesting, 73%. Even I fell for this. And first time I read this, that 73% of people or consumers are influenced by accessibility features on any of the product they buy. That is shocking to me. I never went into a showroom or a market space and asked for, hey, does this product have accessibility features? Does this product help disabled people also? I'm not influenced by those characteristics on a product, right? But I realized I was wrong in it. Initially, I thought I'm in that 27%. I never had that perception of is this product accessible or not. But eventually, I realized no, it's not that. I'm also influenced by it. Let me share an example. If somebody disagrees on this at this point, and there is no harm in disagreeing it because I disagreed about it 4 years ago. So the example is we went to buy we go to buy a TV, a large big TV, right? A television. Then we never ask for is this accessible or not, because by default in our mind we know that we will get a remote control. Now that remote control device is an accessibility feature. It is invented, it is discovered, it is given for every TV, or it was actually mandated so that people who have less mobility would have equal access to change the channels or operate with the TV. Eventually it becomes so ingrained, it becomes so mainstream that by default a TV would have a remote control. And now it is luxury, right? Without that, we would never buy a TV. No matter how good it is, no matter how big that is, 70 inch or 100 inch, 90 inch or whatever that is, I would still won't buy if that doesn't have a remote control. Similarly with our mobile phones. I believe somebody needs to be muted, or host, you can mute them. So, thank you. I know we all are multitasking. It's absolutely fine. So going back to this, the 73% perception, we have our mobile phone. I won't go to a mobile shop and ask that does this phone has a accessibility features or not? Possibly not. I won't check on that. But by default, we know that if somebody comes and says that, hey, this phone has all the good features, but it doesn't vibrate on silent mode, or it doesn't have haptics, it doesn't have a haptic feedback, possibly I would not buy it. And we all take it for granted that every mobile phone would have a vibration mode. That was actually added for people who have less or who have hearing impairment, so that even when they get a call, they would know it by the vibration of it. And today we all use it in a silent mode. Today we all use the mobile phone in silent mode. It is like without that, we cannot even function for 8 hours during our working hours with that mobile phone. So these are the examples of accessibility functionalities which became mainstream, not because disabled people are using it, but because all the able people are used to it. And without those functionalities, the products are not competitive anymore. That is where this 73% of people come in. All right. So this is my why. Why? Because 1.3 billion people will use the product. $18 trillion is the disposable income or the market reach over there, market opportunity over there, and 73% people are influenced by it. Now, this 1.3 billion people is talks only about permanent disability. It doesn't include situational or temporary disabilities because we cannot make a count. We cannot do a count on it. Temporary disabilities are definitely stay for a shorter time. We cannot go and record or enumerate them. And similarly, situational disability cannot be counted. So 1.3 billion people is only permanent disability. If I include all of the other situational disabilities, imagine your product would have lot larger reach. Now, moving on to the next one. So then comes the concept of solve for one and extend to many. Solve for permanent disability and extend it to temporary and situational disabilities. Say, for example, closed captions. This is my favorite example. Anybody can comprehend it. Everybody can relate to that. Closed captions, we know that the concept of closed captions and subtitles. Closed captions is optional, you need to turn it on, whereas subtitles is by default you would get, or open captions, it is also called as. So closed captions were actually discovered for people with hearing abilities so that they can comprehend what's going on the screen by looking at the captions. Today, everyone use it. Every one of us uses it, especially if you go to the Netflix and all other, online providers, movie providers. We see that without closed caption, probably I would not take that subscription. Closed caption not only helping the hearing impaired people, but it also help common people because it removes that language barrier. Most of your kids, or my kids, or if you're younger, most of you would be watching K-pops or K-series. All this is possible because of the closed captions. It removes the language barriers. It makes it more inclusive. It makes the movie or the screen play more universal. That is an example of solving for one and extending to many. Again, the automatic open doors, which we talked about, that's also an example. Typewriter, actually discovered by Turing for his friend named Carolina, so that the blind, her friend who is blind, she is blind, she can write legibly on a straight line by typing something. It's easy, right? Just memorize where the keys are, and then they can type it. So the typewriter evolved into keyboards into keypads, touchpads, voice conversions, or voice commands. It revolutionized. Similarly with Apple, when it launched 2011, the entire screen with nothing on it, with no keypads on it, no joysticks on it. They realized that how would blind people communicate with it? They came up with the voice command, "Hey Siri," and then it evolved through all the other applications of Microsoft, Alexa, Bixby, Google, and everything else. Similarly, dark mode, light mode, people with vision impairments would use it, but now we all would use it to save our eyes, to protect our eyes. So these are some of the examples where we are solving for one and extending it to many. So far we talked about the what and the why, and here comes the how to create universal products. This is where I'm saying at this level, the how part is little introductory. I didn't go into much details or in depth over here. We'll introduce this, but the how is mostly contextual. How would you integrate this at your organization? How would you convince with your leadership to invest more on this? How larger organizations are using it? Let's take a view on it. How can we do this? By creating inclusive designs. What is inclusive design? Inclusive design is a methodology driven by human diversity that creates products and experiences for everyone. Simply put, the design which can cover most of the human uses or diversity is called as an inclusive design. So universal product is the ultimate goal or the outcome, and inclusive design is the framework or the process through which we get the universal products. So why am I talking about inclusive design over here? During the design stage of the project or of the product, if we consider it to be inclusive, if we look at human diversity based on age, gender, population, geographical area, possibly we would get more universal products. That's what this is talking about. Now, so we all as a program managers, project managers, engineers, developers, quality engineers, or just as a human being, we can champion this process that includes diverse perspectives from the start, ensuring products are adaptable, equitable, and future ready, which is nothing but inclusive. Now, we as a program managers, portfolio managers, project managers can play a good role over here by saying that shift left the accessibility. We are trying to shift left a lot of things. Now, let's shift left the inclusive design also. So, inclusive design is not about designing for disability, it's about designing for diversity. I show my classic example over here, the Microsoft Xbox adaptive controller or the joystick, which you see over here in this video. So usually in this picture, usually it is supposed to be like the joystick or the controller which we play with both the hands. But Microsoft launched this in 24, where you can play with one hand. Of course, they have included disabled people. Their main motto was so that disabled people can also play with this, can also use it. But it became so mainstream, so popular that Microsoft published it that common people started using it because of its feasibility. I can play with one hand, eat with the other, or use two joysticks to play as two different users or players within the game. It became more popular in a common stream, in a mainstream. There's a very good article about it, how Microsoft had to, you know, produce more and more of this with the increase in demand. So that is inclusive designing. It's not just for disability, but it's about designing for the diversity where a lot of people can use it, solving for one and extending to many. Now, how can this be done? In throughout my slides, I have taken three examples. One is by doing inclusive tech labs. Second one is shift left accessibility. Third one is integrating uh, these accessible compliances or these accessible designs or practices within the life cycle of SDLC. Let's watch this Microsoft's Inclusive Tech Lab video. Not be surprised, it was telling video cannot be played for some reason. One moment, I should have this handy. Oh, this is something which I didn't run during my dry run, but give me one moment. We should have this. Let me stop sharing. Okay. Um, Hopefully, I'm sharing the video. And host, can you please confirm if we can hear the audio of the video?
Not as audio, but I can see the video.
Oh, sorry, what was that? We can hear the audio?
We cannot hear the audio, but I can see it. Can you try
Okay.
playing it? No, cannot hear
No?
the video. No.
Okay. Okay. Give me one moment. Possibly it is because it's when I share, it asks me that option.
Yes, now we can.
Inclusive design is about ensuring that traditionally marginalized perspectives and populations are included in the design process from start to finish. Our job is to put the human at the center of the design process.
Welcome to the Inclusive Tech Lab.
The Inclusive Tech Lab is a team and a space dedicated to the disability community. The lab really exists to provide a space where we could bring the disability community into Microsoft to work directly with our designers and engineers. It started specifically for Xbox hardware, so we had a very narrow focus to bring the controller to life. The lab and the controller don't exist without each other. We're all very passionate about gaming, and that's where we really found an opportunity to make a difference. But it's certainly not where we've ended. We started to take a more expanded role across all of our hardware. As the facility expanded, our scope has continued to as well.
Thank you.
We're looking at how we can integrate Windows and Copilot and accessibility on hardware to truly create a holistically accessible experience on our devices and our software. Inclusive design is innovative design, is beautiful design. We are making a difference. We are helping people to be more productive, to be more empowered, more independent, to have more agency. If we solve for the most extreme disability scenario, it will automatically benefit everyone else.
Okay. I'll go back to my slide deck again. So if you were lucky enough to catch here in that context, they were mentioning that they started with this for their Xbox adaptive controllers, but they have extended it to other software and hardware components. And one of the best outcomes of this inclusive tech lab is what I'm showing in my next slide. So how did they extend this to a software? They came up with an idea that let's call Azure as an Azure speech, which means every product that we're using, we should be able to use it hands-free, just with the ability to communicate. We should not touch it. We should not even look at it. Even if I'm blind, I could still be able to communicate with it. So they came up with convert speech to text. So which means open your Microsoft Word document, you just speak, it will type all the text for you. Synthesize text to speech, very commonly available, the audiobooks, and then translate the speech, which means we are talking in Hindi and it's still giving it, putting the document in English or any other Mandarin language or any other languages. So these ideas came up, these inclusive thoughts came up because whenever they're starting a new software product or a hardware device, they're trying to run that through this inclusive tech lab. Or they are having the design sessions where they are considering the diversity of human beings who would be using it. And hence they are launching Azure Speech, which is ability to talk to all the applications across the sales support, in Microsoft Teams, in PowerPoints, everything, even in emails and all. You must definitely check it out, just for knowledge, so that you can apply this to the other areas of whatever organization you're working on. Now, this screenshot over here, which I have taken from Microsoft Teams, this I like most. Uh, I call this as my fantastic inclusive product because if we were using more advanced versions of Microsoft Teams or we have enabled accessibility over here in our session today, you all will have the ability, number one, to translate these slides. All you need to do is translate and check one of these languages. Everything that you're seeing in the slide would be translated to your language of choice. My speech, which I'm speaking, will be translated to the language of your choice. The rate at which I am moving through the slides can be controlled at your end so that you can watch that slowly. And every slide that I'm showing, you can zoom in and zoom out the slide at your end. All these are accessibility features, yes, but they are useful for common people or people who are able or who are not disabled, because translation removes the language barrier. Ability to zoom in, zoom out gives me more independence to pause or to look at a specific slide more, focused or more zoomed in. So that's how they are bringing inclusivity into this Microsoft Teams. Teams also has this ability where um, we can add this option of sign language interpreter. So if our audience need those assistants or assistive text, then we can turn on sign language interpreter. Then the person who is interpreting can directly be shown on the corner, and the entire talk would make sense to them. We are also coming with an AI avatar, which would again, as we speak, it would show over there, and everything is communicated with it. So making it more and more inclusive with the sign languages. So this is one best thing I like, and it's one of the good improvements on the Microsoft Teams. So my next part is how. This I have been working from 3 years. I worked in one of the biggest telecommunications organization. I really implemented this. Shift left accessibility has been there since 2003. IBM has launched this in 2003. but the real implementation of this shift left accessibility has been very rare. And I have pioneered by introducing this into more into agile practices, and I have published a couple of research papers on that and have been well recognized for it. But a short story. Uh, so the organization got a lawsuit saying that your web pages are not accessible compliant. And then I'm a project manager, I have been given a team of it, saying that, hey, these are accessibility experts, engineers. We have got a lawsuit. Legal department will take care of it, but ensure that all our pages are accessible. So to me, in the beginning, I thought that, okay, it's one more compliance. What I need to do, go and check all the pages, create a backlog of items, start fixing those items. But then I was wrong. I realized that the backlog kept growing because the source of the backlog, which is the teams, they didn't have that accessibility idea. So then we started interviewing the QA personality, the quality engineers over there. We trained them on, our accessibility engineers trained them on all the accessible compliances. That was good. Of course, the audit when we are getting less defects or accessibility compliance defects. But the QA is taking more time because the source, again, the developers do not know how to make the code more compliant. Then we trained developers, they got it. Then we went into the product owners who started writing acceptance criteria, including these accessibility things. Then we went to the design team where their Figma had these accessible colors and giving that alt text and all of that, screen readers being compliant and all. So everything looked good. The results started flowing a little bit better, and then again it dipped down. The reason was that we are investing too much of time in being more accessible, and hence it is reducing the ability to deliver the product sooner. Then what we did is we started investigating like what are the different tools we have which we can automate at different places. So we invested in automating accessible compliance tools for QAs, then for the developers where the IDE, wherever the local environment they're developing, as you write the code and ask to check for the compliance, it would automatically recommend you the code snippets to make it more accessible, your end UI to make it more accessible. Then we went into the Jira. So if you put your user story over there, it is integrated with an intake form, again, locally created one. What it will do is based on your user story or the mockups attached, it will write the acceptance criteria by itself within the story. Now, having these automation tools really reduce that, cycle time, reduce that gap, and improve the flow. Everything was going good. All these are happy stories, right? And then after some time, again, everything fall down because people lost that motivation. So we started with a good motivation. They all were pumped up, and then again it dropped down. Then we started introducing inclusive labs, the one which you have seen at Microsoft, not such big scale, but we call them as empathy labs or universal design labs. Now there, what we did is every quarter, each team, which means every week we had these sessions, would come and sit in our empathy lab. For example, developers, they would be blindfolded and then they will be asked to navigate through the websites, what they have developed. And wherever they are blocked, wherever they cannot move further with their voice commands, that means that code is not inclusive, that functionality is not inclusive. That worked very well. Really, at this time, every person within the teams started thinking about, okay, how can I make this more accessible? How can I make it more, reliable, more useful? So they started thinking about adding the microphone icon, which like directly with a voice command, people can do it. It went well. 3 years. I was the project manager over there. It was very good. Then I left the organization to a different organization. When I talked to my colleagues over there, they say that now accessibility is at the corner. It's not in the mainstream. So I worked for 3 years in shift left accessibility, convinced my lack of a better term, my hierarchy, convinced the teams, educated the teams, motivated them, gave them the knowledge, created the empathy labs. Everything was trashed after a year. The reason because there is no system to support this culture. Now I'm working with a researcher in Canada who is a disability rights activist. So we are working to develop a framework called a shift up accessibility. It's not just shift left. Shift left helps at the team level, but shift up will help at the organization level. That's where the research currently I am working on. So that's a storytelling, a story which went very well on sustaining accessibility and then dropped all of a sudden after 3 years. And then we realized it is because of lack of systems which would support that culture. And those systems can only be created if we have a leadership buy-in. And that's why we are trying to show them that 1.3 billion people, $18 trillion of income, how major organizations are using this as competitive advantage, and how we would be missed in that competition if you are not using it. Okay. Now this how is left to you all. I believe we all are matured enough to understand the local context and try to include them in our SDLC software development lifecycle. For example, during initiation, include accessibility goals. During design, make it more inclusive design. During development, we have a lot of tools at the IDE level itself, at the developer table itself, which can make it more accessible. During testing, during launch, and during maintenance, look for improving accessibility features. Again, this is, of course, a generated image, but a visualization of how we can integrate accessibility into our agile life cycles or agile frameworks. This is an example of a Scrum framework, though. And then I have listed some of the and the ones which I have listed over here is not much popular. There are a lot of other tools out there, excellent tools out there. Recently, I went to a conference in California. It is called CSUN Conference, the biggest conference for assistive tech. Meta was there, Apple was there, of course, Nike was there, Google was there, Amazon was there. I thought what these industries, what these organizations are doing at a disability conference. There were several other vendors like Braille vendors, Braille laptop vendors, Braille keyboard vendors. They were there, screen readers, they were there. But what are these big organizations doing over there? When I went to their presentations, Microsoft Inclusive Tech Lab, they walked through that. Apple has their own lab for which you do not have access. Oh, by the way, before I forget, that Microsoft Inclusive Tech Lab, which I have shown, it is free for access to everyone. Anyone can go to their lab and do a walkthrough of it. And they also have virtual tours. All you need to do is book a slot on the virtual tour, and then somebody with a camera would walk you through everything and would show you what each of those are used for and how that would help in creating an inclusive design. So it's free, it's online, book a slot. It would help you to think differently to make your competitive, make your product more competitive or have that advantage. So yeah, there are a lot of tools which are, so Meta was there. I was surprised, what is Meta doing over there? And they said that there is an organization called Fable and also an organization called Be My Eyes. So Be My Eyes is an example where it's an app where people who have visible or visual impairment would be connected with volunteers who are ready to volunteer. So it's like your WhatsApp video call or a FaceTime. Somebody is on the road or somebody cannot see what or in the shopping complex and they do not know where to look for. They will call us, we'll be on the FaceTime and we'll guide them. Go to the left, go to the right, there you will find your uh, groceries or whatever that is. So that is Be My Eyes. They have taken that as an example. And Fable is an organization which provides lived examples or lived experiences, people with lived experiences. They will provide them for their designs. So Meta collaborated with them, and we all know Meta glasses, which is improving day by day and day by day. So they realized that instead of having another not cochlear implantation, another hearing device, they can use the same Meta glasses with their devices to make more audible. All you need to do, if anyone of you are using Meta glasses, you would know that all you need to do is look at something and say, Meta, take picture, or Meta, what is that? It will just look at that image and tell you what that is. It is like as if in olden days, uh, at least in my childhood days, if I see something, I would wait until I go home and look at the dictionary to find what that word is, what it means. Later, we will internet it out. Later, I would Google it out in my phone. But now it's all about looking at the product and Meta will tell you everything about it. You want visually or you want it in audio way. So why I'm telling all this? Amazon came over there because of their Alexa integration with a lot of this and Amazon Prime's integration, making it more and more accessible. They have a feature in the videos, in their accessibility feature, where you can reduce the background noise. Say, for example, there is a war going on, and still two people are talking, if you could set up that feature, the entire war noise will be down and only people who are talking, or the background music will be down, the background score would be down, and just the audio of the dialogues would be audible to you. That feature is called as dialogue boost. You can research for it or Google for it. So yes, all these big organizations are investing to make the products more accessible by integrating with these disabled communities. So if you're working in any organization, look at it, how your organization, Adobe was there of their PDF readers. So every organization is doing it. All right, so these are some of the tools which we can use at different development levels. I didn't put most popular tools because this is not for promotion. We all can Google out and figure out which tool is best. ChatGPT will help us to tell that. So at the very end, what I'm communicating over here is inclusion is innovation. It's not about charity. Everything that I talk today is not about charity. It's about how to make your product more inclusive. If you're solving for one, how you're extending it for many. Inclusive product reach more people, early integration saves cost and effort, and everyone benefits from inclusive design. I know we are on the time. I have probably 15 more minutes. We should be able to finish it. So we talked about what, the definitions. We talked about why, the numbers. We talked about how we can use it. Now people will tell that, okay, that's a software thing, or that's a product level thing. What can I do at an individual level? This is the classic example of a person. I believe there was a notes over here, which I don't see in the slide, but that's fine. His name is Mr. Pratik Khandelwal. He was awarded a national national recognition in 2024. And in 2026, this year in February, he was awarded UNO Award, uh, United Nations Award for Disability Community. Now, they don't award just for disabled people, they award for the startups. So what this is, he started a simple startup called as Ramp My City. All he did was he went to those elite places. He saw that it is not accessible, and he created this, or he established these ramps, which are portable. You can, in the nighttime you can put it inside, in the daytime it's outside. It's an aluminum ramp, simple ramp. We all have that idea. We all use it in our villages and in our places where if I need to climb it up a little stairs, I would use this ramp for my mobile or from a bike or something. But they came up with this idea. It's $1 million company now. Just a small thought process. You need not start very, very big. A small thought process can change this. So this is my classic example. He has a very good story. He's not disabled by birth. He met with an accident and then he became a wheelchair bound or wheelchair user. And he goes for a date and he realizes that he cannot get into the coffee shop and he misses his date, and that creates a revolution. And he wants this to present as a social responsibility rather than a charity. Very good business model. Very good business model. Just example to share, Ramp My City. Now they are across a lot of cities in Bangalore, in Mumbai, and a lot of other places also. So this is an example. Now, even if this takes a lot, like, oh, Sunil, we still need to think about it. A startup is not a thing which I would do right away. Let's look at few things which we can do right away in our mobile. I believe, okay, now let's learn one feature. Not sure if the audio would play. It says cannot play a media, possible because the link got distracted. Give me one moment and I'll start sharing this. I'm sorry for the gap. Okay, lucky I got it. I have 3 more videos to play. Possibly I would need 2 more pauses. All right, let's look at this.
If you use voice control, here's how to take a selfie. With voice control turned on in your accessibility settings, say Open Camera. If you'd like to see the names of the buttons on the screen, you can say Show Names at any time. Say Tap Camera Chooser to switch to your front camera. Then say Tap Take Picture.
Tap Take Picture.
Say cheese.
Such an easy feature to use. Any of us would like to use it because we see in many of the large group pictures when you try to take, we put a phone over there, put a 3 minutes, 3 seconds timer, try to run and find a space and then squeeze in. Rather, just put a phone over there and tell it, tap, take a picture, and it will take a picture for you. Of course, that is a disability functionality or accessibility functionality, but every one of us would like to use it, right? That is again an example of solve for one and extend to many. I would show you another one. Wish I have did a little good job with this on my slides. I'm sorry for that, team. Give me one moment. Okay, all right, I got this. And I'm going to share my screen. Oops. All right.
Camera Switches is a new Android accessibility feature that can help people with speech and motor impairments to navigate their phone using eye movements and facial gestures. It turns the phone's front-facing camera into a switch, so you can choose one movement to scan and another to select. By choosing 2 simple gestures, the whole of Android is now more accessible to more people. Pick a combination of gestures that works for you and customize them to your range of movement.
So that's like using gestures on your face to navigate through everything on your phone. You have seen that navigate maps, navigate banking, navigate anything across the phone. So it's like using the phone without using your hands at all. Right? Those are the 2 features which you can start using right today on your phone. Why it is stuck over here? Sorry, this is not what I meant to share. My slides, my deck. So yeah, we all can start using it. Why am I recommending to start use it? Not because it is easy for us to use, not just because it is easy for us to use. Is the video playing over here? Maybe yes. Okay. Not just because it is easy for us to use, but it is because the more the people start using it, it becomes a mainstream feature. It becomes so inclusive that all the mobile carriers will start putting it. Say, for example, now we don't have just remotes for our TVs. We have remotes for our fans, for our ACs, for everything started using remote. Even the car, we unlock and lock it using a remote. So if we start using these features, products would realize that, oh, many people are using this. We should make it a mainstream. Apple Watch has a lot of good features on its haptic feedbacks. You should start watching videos on it. Any product you take, any product that you're using, simply ask for it that look at their accessibility features and you realize the life hacks behind it. Take these as life hacks and you'll start using it easily. Google was showing that they're coming up with Gemini uh, as a as an assistant. We all know that Gemini is an assistant. They're coming up with Gemini in a way that all you need to do is example, hey Gemini, order so and so food from Zomato from my favorite restaurant, which is closer to me. That's it. Gemini will take the voice command, it will go through your app, search for it, read the reviews, use your cards to publish it, and order it. It's easy. It's an easy life hack. We don't want it, right? While I'm driving back home, my spouse tells that, hey, get some food. All I need to do is, hey, just yell at my phone, hey, Gemini, do this for me. That is an accessibility feature that has been developed by keeping accessibility in their mind, but it is becoming mainstream because a lot of people would like to use it. Right? So with this, I want to conclude my talk. I just want to share that all our abilities are temporary. Nobody can escape that. Either with age or with an incident or just with time, all our abilities are temporary. With this, I would like to ask a question. Is there something wrong in this image, or is there something different, or can this be improved, or what can you comprehend from this? Anyone from the audience, you can unmute and try to share. I know I have only 3 more minutes. Possibly that's all I have to share. Anyone from the audience?
This is not for the disabled people.
Not for the
As
disabled
well.
people. It is very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. It makes my day saying that at least all that we went through makes sense. At least myself, not for everyone, then at least myself. I have been seeing this image since my childhood. I never had a question around how would disabled people escape in case of fire. I never had that question until 4 years ago. I was caught up. I was introducing someone that, hey, I'm project manager for accessibility team. Then they asked that, how could you solve this? Of course, I escaped by saying that I'm on digital accessibility, not on physical accessibilities. But yes, that's a question. How could we solve this? We see this every day. We see this every time in our elevators, everywhere, but we never get a question because we take it for granted. We are not disabled. But think about temporary disabilities. Like I might have a injured leg, then how could I escape this? I should not be at the mercy of, uh, rescue team. So when I talk at engineering colleges, when I talk at these larger groups, I say that think about how can we solve this. Very simple. We all use these touch phones, right? Probably your washing machines and everything have touch screens and everything. In the event you cannot use your eyes for a couple of days, how can you interact with it? How can I make it more accessible? There are a lot of ways, possibly by adding simple stickers to it, can make it more accessible also. So think about it. And I know I'm saying last slide, but recently I found in my LinkedIn that this is one of the solutions that they came up with. This is Arunima, a home for neurodiverse people in Dehradun in India. Recently opened a month ago. They came up with this ramp across all the 4 stories. I know possibly we can debate that the facade doesn't look good. It doesn't add a good quality over there. This is the starting. From here, we can improve incrementally, iteratively, and exponentially, and empirically. We can do that. All right. And here is my last slide. Interested more in learning about it, learning about my failures, learning about what I'm looking forward to. Let's collaborate on my LinkedIn. That's all I have from today's session. Thank you so much to everyone. You intentionally chose to be here to learn something new. Hopefully, I have provided or shared something which is new to everyone, or maybe which helps us to progress forward. Thank you so much for giving your time this Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. Back to you, Mona.
Thank you, Sunil, for that insightful session. And I think we already have people messaging and understanding that this was a completely different yet very interesting and thought-provoking session for all of us. This was a complete different thing, or it brings a different perspective altogether. So with the interest of time, I wish we could answer some of the Q&A on that, although we had the videos here. Um, I think it's already time, so we probably can ask the questions by reaching out to Sunil, and I'm sure he would be able to answer that. So before we close today's session, I'd like to request participants to kindly fill out the feedback form, which I'm sharing right now on the chat group. And your feedback is definitely important to us. It will help us improve our future sessions. And towards the end, it would be a PDU code which would be generated. You can use your PDU code. Please use that on Tuesday because it will get activated by Monday later half or towards the evening. So on Tuesday morning, it's good for you to go ahead and do that. All right, and last but not the least, I would like to share my screen as a token of appreciation to Sunil for the insightful session. So just give me 1 second while I share my screen.
While you're pulling up that, Mona, request to everyone, if you feel that this really added new knowledge, please share it across. I talk across several colleges, universities, because we have never been educated over there. We talk about finances, we talk about environment, but never about disability. So far, I have covered across 24 countries and 50 universities. So if you know this can be useful at any other universities, feel free to refer me.
Great, thank you. And right, looks like, let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. For some reason, it's not sharing the entire screen. No issues. So this was actually a tree certificate that we wanted to share with you, Sunil. This was as a gesture for the insightful session that you did. We will any which ways tag you, and there would be a LinkedIn gratitude post, and we'll keep that in LinkedIn as well. Once again, thank you for choosing a different topic altogether, changing our different perspective, and sharing your valuable insights for today. Thank you to all the participants for spending Sunday with us, for joining, actively engaging in the session. We hope you found today's webinar informative and meaningful. So on behalf of PMI North India Chapter, thank you once again to Sunil, and we look forward everyone to seeing in our future sessions. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very welcome. Let me know if you want me to drop off or stay on the call for anything else.
I think that's it. There
That's
were a
it.
few
Okay.
questions. I think I can share that later with you.
Yeah, sure, absolutely fine. Thank you so much, Mona. Thank you for organizing all of this. I know it's a lot of effort behind the scenes. Thank you.
So thank you so much for your insight. Thank you once again.
Bye now.